Dennis, is it?
Grateful I am tonight. My name is Paul Prasuti. I'll be your host, and welcome to the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. This is our Wednesday night midweek Oasis service, and it's Wednesday, March 16th. Happy St. Patrick's Eve. We have so much to celebrate tonight and so many things to experience. So what is our oasis? Why do we call it an oasis? It's a place where we can be together as a community to be spiritually refreshed between Sundays. We present our Wednesday night services in what we call the Oakland CSL satsang style, where we have an intention that when we gather on Wednesday nights, that this experience be informal, intimate, and rich. We normally and always and plan to even tonight have a speaker speak for about 20 minutes on the theme of the month. And then we have some sharing activity. We're also celebrating Women's History Month. And our speaker tonight is just out of this world, literally out of this world. And I'll explain that in just a minute. But let's remember what our annual theme is. Our annual theme for all of the Centers for Spiritual Living is Wonder, Wonder Everywhere. And our monthly theme for March is Play. So if you're joining us for the first time, you found us through our homepage and our website, but we also have a Village News newsletter. And if you'd like to stay more connected with us on the homepage of the website, you can enter your email address in the lower left-hand corner and submit it, and you'll get every Thursday our newsletter that'll tell you about everything that's coming up in the next week, classes, Sunday services, and all the latest information. We are broadcasting tonight in Zoom, and so to improve the quality of the transmission, we asked that you turn off your microphone and your camera. That will help things go a little bit smoother. And please stay for the special and important announcements that we have at the end of our program tonight. We also will be reading the covenant together, calling our new minister into service. Now, I kind of teased you with who the speaker is, but those of us that have been here on a regular basis know that the third Wednesday of every other month is Reverend Dr. Elouise Oliver Wednesday. And we're so blessed to have her tonight. And when I think of celebrating Women's History Month, Reverend Dr. Elouise Oliver has way more than a month that she's contributed to the history of women, and especially to the evolution and elevation of humanity through the great work that she has done in our movement. She started at the First Church of Religious Science, now known as the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living, as a congregant. Then she became a practitioner here, then a minister, and then a staff minister. She answered a call and assumed the pulpit at the East Bay Church of Religious Science, where she built a powerful ministry until her retirement. But not Reverend E. She doesn't retire. She just might take a couple of minutes off to breathe or lay on her thing that turns her upside down and rejuvenates her. Because when she gets off of that, she gives Paul a call and say, you know, Paul, if Lucian's speaking on Wednesdays, I want to speak on a Wednesday. Can you get me on the agenda? So I called Reverend Jeff and I says, well, hold on to your horses. Reverend E wants to speak on a Wednesday night. And so he invited her to participate, and here she is. And that's now probably 3 years that she has been with us every other month on the third Wednesday night. She considers Oakland Center as her spiritual home and has continued providing divine service to us through our Wednesday night services. We're so grateful. We're so blessed to have her tonight. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Reverend E. Please sit back and enjoy I know she's going to talk about play was on the agenda, but whatever she talks about, it's divine. Reverend E, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Hallelujah. 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 So I give thanks for this opportunity to just witness about the goodness of God. And so we call it all kind of names. We call it the Wednesday night service. We call it the Sunday service. But all it is a great camp meeting. In the scripture it says, after our brother Yeshua had passed, they all went up into the upper room. They were having the same mind, and they were speaking the same thing. And the Holy Spirit came upon them like the rushing of a mighty wind. And so that's what's going on with us tonight. We came together, and great things happen when we come together. And it seems that we have a better intention when there's a crisis. The reason we are here tonight is this thing called COVID. And so we couldn't come together in person. And somehow or another we found ourselves having church on Zoom. Never heard of Zoom before. But when some kind of crisis came, so we couldn't be in the service together, love found a way. And the big book also says, where two or more are gathered together, touching and agreeing on the same thing, they can ask whatever they will. And so we're touching and agreeing tonight on peace. On peace. When I first came into religious science, we used to sing, let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. And that's where peace must begin. It must begin in our own hearts. In our own hearts. And then it spreads out. So no one, nobody, and no thing can resist the peace in our own hearts. No one can resist it. Years ago, Michelle Jordan gave me a hymn book, and it had the stories of how all the different hymns were written. And Amazing Grace has been sang in the black church so much, so often, at every service. I thought Amazing Grace was written by a black person. And come to find out, that song, Amazing Grace, was written by a slave trader. So we don't know what's going on ever. It's because what it seems like is happening, much more than that is happening. So this thing about Amazing Grace, this young man who wrote Amazing Grace had a mother who prayed, but he also had a dad who hung out on the docks and did all kinds of mischievous things. So this young man started hanging out on the dock with his dad. And there were people who would go from country to country and steal people. And they would bring people from Africa, dark people from Africa and Jamaica and various, as they call, third world countries. So they snatched this little boy off the dock and made him go with them and work in the kitchen or whatever they wanted him to do. He was forced into that. And so once he became a man, he saw how they would take these people, and he thought, well, I know how to do that. I'll get me a boat or whatever, And I do it for myself. I don't want to work for them no more. I don't have to. So he did just that. He saved up whatever money he got and he bought his own boat. And then he started going to Africa and the other Jamaica or wherever there were black people, dark skinned folks that he could capture. So he was on his way back to this country, back to England with a boatload of slaves. They were chained in all kind of ways, and a storm broke out. And he looked and he realized that he was about to lose his cargo and his own life. And he dropped to his knees and prayed. And he said, God, if there is a God, save me. Save me. Save me. I know that this is wrong, what we're doing here. But if you save me, when I get back to England, I'll become an abolitionist. I know how to break this up because I know how it's done. You can break it up. I can break it up because I know how it's done. I can break it up from the inside. And sure enough, the storm abated and he got back home safe. And when he got home, he dropped to his knees and wrote that song, Amazing Grace. How sweet it sounds, that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. I was blind, but now I see. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already come. 'Twas grace that brought me safe this far, and grace will lead me on. And when I get there to heaven, when I've been there 10,000 years bright shining like the sun, I will have no less days to sing God's praise than when I first began. And so we talk about time. There is no time in God. I'll have no less days to sing God's praise than when I first began. So in religious science, in the spiritual centers for spiritual living, we used to sing that song. We took wretch out. We said, Amazing Grace that saved a soul like me. Or something, we took wretch out. And then Channel 9 did a documentary that let us know that the person who wrote that song was a slave trader. We said, we're going to put wretch back in. So that's how we are with our words. And so about this thing with Ukraine, when we come together, we can make a difference because God is all there is. There is nothing else regardless of appearance. I read a book today about black people in the South. And there was a law on the books at one time that forbade black people, white people, from teaching black people how to read. And there was a fine and some time in jail for teaching black people how to read. But my grandmother used to say, God always got a ram in the bush. God always got a ram in the bush. That God has ways to get something done that you didn't see beforehand. And so when my grandmother worked for the big house, the woman in the big house taught my grandmother how to read because she wanted my grandmother to help her kids with their homework. And my grandmother was not supposed to teach anybody else to read because that was a secret. Because the white woman that taught her to read could go to jail and be fined. But no sooner than they let my grandmama come home, hallelujah, my grandmama started to teach me how to read. And my grandmama said to me, baby, if there ever was a Garden of Eden, it had to be in Africa, because all of these rivers are all in Africa. So that must be where the Garden of Eden was. And my grandmama taught me how to read. And she said another thing. The wood that Noah's Ark was made from grows in Africa. And so I learned to read word by word. And so people talk about my ability to read. But that was the only book that the slaves were allowed to have, was the Bible. And in the King James Version, that they inserted a line in there that said, woman, obey your husbands, and slaves, obey your master. And that's why it's called the King James Version, because that was not always there. That was the King's Version. And in some Bibles, it has the document written. I have a Bible here that has the document of where that was changed. But no matter how you translate the truth, love will find a way. Love will find a way. And it only takes one of us. It takes one person. And with everybody meeting about the Ukraine system, it can be felt. Prayers can be felt. When you're praying for somebody, they can feel it. Children can feel it because they haven't learned how to avoid feeling. If you ask an adult how they feel, they will normally tell you how they think, because we are not taught to feel. We are taught to think. But when you go to your feeling place, you can feel that. Praise God. There's one thing that's common to all of us, and that is we all have a desire to be loved. We all have a desire for recognition. Even in the days of Hitler, they said that Hitler had a woman that he loved in hiding. And he was very kind and gentle to her. And he brought her flowers. And she was the only person that he was kind to. He not only was mean to the Jews, he was mean to everybody. But what I know about a mean person is somebody somewhere hurt him. Because babies aren't born mean. I'm sure he wasn't born throwing people in the furnace. That's not who we are. Because we were created by the divine. And so what I call the least common denominator is we want to be loved, we want to be recognized, and we want to feel like we can make a difference. And so that's the least common denominator. I wrote about it in a little book that just been published. And so we're all in relationships with each other. And all of us have different desires and different wants and different needs. When we were in school, when we had mixed numbers, that's what we call that, mixed numbers. When white folks and black folks and Jewish folks and all these different folks get together. And we're trying to show love to one another. And we all got different ways of doing that. I made sure our church had somebody from all races. in all religions. So we got a Jewish person who now is the head of this city council or something like that. And she would always bring the camera for whatever the Jewish holiday is. So we would go from Black History to Jewish holidays, and then I had a young man who would sing from the Nation of Islam. He sang the call to worship. We had everybody, but we all had a least common denominator. When you're trying to work mixed numbers, you have to break it down to the least common denominator. And the least common denominator is we all want to be here. We all want to be recognized. And we all created by that divine spark that I call God. That I call God. If the sperm will live a certain number of days, and the ovum will live a certain number of days. People who do in vitro fertilization know all about that. But when the spark of God unites the sperm and the ovum, it lives inside the body of the female of the mother for 9 months. Them same 2 cells that wouldn't live but a few days, when the spark of God unites the sperm and the ovum, they live for something like 9 months, 180 days. And everything that child needs is supplied. Everything the mother eats is supplied to the child through something called the umbilical cord. And if the mother don't eat enough calcium, hallelujah, she will lose her teeth, because that body is going to give the first fruit. Everything she eats is going to the baby first. So they got prenatal vitamins and all kind of stuff. But the time to take that is before conception, because this thing of taking everything from the mother starts immediately. Starts immediately. And if a person knows the exact day they got pregnant, the doctor can tell you the exact day the child will be born. Because like on Christmas, they said when the time had fully come, there was no place for baby Jesus to lay. So when the time had fully come, something started squeezing your body. Everything that you needed had already been supplied. No more room in here now. So something starts pushing you out. And it was painful to your mother, and it was painful to you. But life is messy. I have a book a minister sent me called Life is Messy. And the delivery room is messy. So you were pushed out into a bright light. And immediately, what's been supplied to you inside, you took a breath, and once again, everything you needed was supplied. And it still is, until this day. All you need is always being supplied. The little girl, Norma, I think her name is Norma, the little black girl, spoke at the White House at the inauguration. She said there's always life if you just see it. There's always good. You have to be there. So again, I want you to know that everybody that you're in a relationship, you all have the same needs. We all have the same needs. And if you go to Costco to buy a set of knives, there's XYZ number of knives, and then there's this sharp thing that doesn't seem to match anything. But that thing is there to sharpen the knife. So when the knives get dull, you can just take it and rub it up and down on that knife sharpener, and it sharpens the knife. So the person that you're in relationship with, whether it's a family member, a lover, somebody on your job, that person that's annoying you is there for you to sharpen your spirit, for you to go back to who you are. Because all that you need is within you. And right here and right now, you were born with a purpose. You were born with a job to do that nobody else can do. And you're fully equipped to do that. You're fully equipped to do it. Nobody can do it but you, because that is your divine purpose. So I don't know what time it is now, but I'm going to stop right here so that you can ask questions or give comments, because this is a community meeting. This is like the city council meeting, I guess, or like the board meeting at the church. I don't know, but it's your time now to make a comment or ask a question, and I will answer to the best of my ability. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend E, as always. Wisdom beyond measure. So if you're interested and would like to make a comment or ask a question, we ask that you turn your camera on and raise your hand like this, or use your reaction button at the bottom of the screen to raise your hand, and I'll do that right now. And Peggy, are you willing to moderate for us tonight?
Absolutely, no problem. Hi, Reverend E.
Hi.
Here I am.
There you are. So Reverend E, if you could look up to the camera so they could hear you better, that would help. They're having a little trouble hearing you.
Okay.
So if, like I said, if you have a question or a comment, Reverend E is available to address anything that she spoke about. And now's the time if you want to take a few minutes to do that. Anyone? I do know Reverend E very well on Wednesday nights, and she will pick somebody if someone doesn't come forward.
So everybody, well, obviously I did a good job since everybody knows it already. So how about Dodie? Dodie,
Yes, I'm here.
how about you saying something? If I didn't say it, you say it.
Okay. I'm trying to turn my camera off. You cannot. Okay. Well, it won't let me do that. I enjoyed your talk. I did have a little difficulty. Start your video. Okay, wait. Okay, now a little bit of hearing you, but I love the energy that you transpire because you're so grounded that it draws me to want to be able to absorb what you're saying so that I can feel it from that depth. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. I wish somebody had yelled out that I couldn't be heard, because I want to be heard, because I want to make a difference in this world. And I want to be able to transmute the idea that you say. that we're saved. That, you know, I just want you to know you're safe. I was married to a serviceman for 28 years. And I came from an environment where women had no choice. My mother had no choice. My daddy didn't allow her to speak. There are churches that to this day don't allow women to speak. And so sometimes when I'm really in the spirit, I'll go back, hallelujah, to that place where women can speak and my voice drops. But if somebody let me know, I want to cry loud. I want women to know that this is your time. I have a book I just read called When God Was a Woman. God wasn't always a man. And there's only 12 countries. It's 195 countries in the world. And only 12 of those countries has given women complete political and social and physical rights as men. 12 countries out of 195 has just given women complete rights. And sad to say, our country is not one of them.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Somebody else, please.
Reverend Jerry.
Reverend E, thank you so much for being a part of this evening. This was a very powerful talk for me, and I appreciate hearing your words of wisdom, especially related to Black history. And I want to say that I've been participating with Carmen West Jefferson in the CAST book study that we're conducting, and it's being very well attended, and it's very powerful. And what's happening for me, and I haven't had a chance to talk to Carmen about it yet, but I see she's on the call, that I really want to see us continue in some way, shape, or form. And what became very clear to me today that it's very important to me to have you participate in that in some way as we reopen the center and bring people back together. So I'm just really touched by your talk this evening and really appreciate it. And I was able to hear you fine. So thank you for bringing this history back to us and this understanding of your experience and the whole idea of reading and how your grandmother was able to learn to read and the complexity around all of that, which I think is so important for all of us to understand and experience. So I just want to honor you and be grateful for you and want you back with us soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Carmen? Carmen, yeah.
Hi. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep, gotcha.
Okay, yeah, I'm not on camera because I'm surrounded by a lot of different things, but thank you for your share, Reverend E. Appreciate it so much. And you know, I came in a little late and I thought it was my phone, my audio that was off because I could barely hear you. And I really wish someone would have said, you know, that they couldn't hear you because you're always such full of wisdom. And I also want individuals at this time to really go deep as to why you didn't say to her, you know, why it wasn't said to you that they couldn't hear you. You know, I'd like the individuals to really reflect on that. What I got from you was, you know, a message of hope. You know, that we can come together, that we can love together, that, you know, love is the key. It really is the key. Everybody wants to be loved. And, you know, to share that. And there was this, Bob Marley, he has this song, Can You Be Loved? It goes, can you be loved? Can you be loved? L-O-V-E-D. And can you be loved? L-O-V-E. And I always find that to be so interesting. It's like, can you be loved by someone? And can you actually be the love that you can give someone? So it's just a, you know, a really beautiful experience. And thank you for sharing with us.
Dodie, thank you, Carmen. Dodie?
I just want to comment about not saying anything about, I kept pushing my computer up to higher levels so that I can hear her. But I didn't want to interrupt her because it's like a depth that she's into a spiritual space that doesn't feel like it needs to be interrupted, and that there's growth in just being able to hear what she's saying or be in that space. That's what I'm saying.
Well, thank you, Dodie. I also, just so that everybody knows, I was behind the scenes texting to Stacy, thinking that Stacy might be there with you, Reverend, that she could go in the background and turn off the television or that background noise. But Stacy told me that she happened to not be with you tonight, that she'll be with you another time. She's taking care of herself as well. So I also turned my volume up.
I'm by myself tonight. And actually, I keep my eyes closed. And so if Stacy had been here, sometimes, even the last time I spoke at First Church, at East Bay, which was last Sunday, somebody had turned me around because in the process, I had just turned a whole different direction. But when I first started speaking, I was very scared because I didn't have a high school education, and my grandmother taught me how to read. And so then I ran away from home and got married at 15. And I never, my husband kept moving, and my job was to support him, not to go to school for myself. But a wife's job is to support her husband. And that was my full-time job for 28 years, taking care of him. Then when it got so crazy, he got out and he had PTSD and bipolar and all kind of mental things. I had to leave him. And otherwise it was going to take my kids, because he would come home drunk and try to cook and set the house afire, crazy stuff. So I ended up on welfare, and I ended up living in a Navy housing project in Berkeley. And the first time I went out of the house, I saw a sign that said Berkeley Adult School. And so I went across the street and I signed up for the Berkeley Adult School. And when my oldest son graduated from Berkeley High, that same day, they had all the adults that went to night school graduate. So I graduated from high school on the same day with Reverend Mawata, who is the minister in San Francisco now. So this calling to make the world a better place, I've been on that journey. And I started out trying to make the world better for Black folks, and then Black women. And then when I came into metaphysics, I realized that God had no gender, that God was not male and God was not female. God just is. And that's all there is to that. Thanks.
Right. Beautiful. I see telephone number 510-318. Who would you like to speak? I don't know who that is.
Oh, hi, it's Eliza.
Oh, hi,
On the
Eliza.
phone. And
Thank you.
thank you, Reverend E. I heard what you had to say. I'd say at least 99%. And the part I didn't hear, it's okay. I felt the energy of it, and it was beautiful. Thank you so much. And I just wanted to tell people, when you were speaking about the King James Bible, it reminded me of this book. It's called God's Secretaries, The Making of the King James Bible. And it's a really interesting book about how he chose these different scholars and what they argued about what they should put in there and what they should leave out. And they were very spiritual also. Most of them were anyway, but there were some that were political. And anyway, it's a really interesting book if you want to know more about how that Bible was translated. And it's called God's Secretaries. And I think it's by Adam Nicholson. And that is all. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
I saw Louis Thompson's hand. Louis Thompson.
Yeah, Luis just came in. Yeah, Luis, can you join us? Can you take your mic off. Let's see if I can help you.
Yes,
There he is.
evening all.
Reverend E was calling you out, Louise.
Speak up, Louise, so we can hear you, sweetheart.
I said,
Speak
so
up.
Louise. Hi, Revy. How
Hi,
are you?
babe. How you doing?
Good. Hello, all. I'm back home. I'm really
Good.
happy to be back home. Nursing homes can be depressing.
Speak up,
Yes.
sweetheart.
I said nursing homes can be depressing. At any rate, here I'm doing good. I have a little bit of a road to go with this strengthening of the leg. Outside of that, everything is looking good. I'm so ever grateful to all of you for keeping me in prayer and holding me up, because there was sometimes I really didn't feel like the process was worth it. I've been trying to run around here without pain meds, and I realize that's not the best idea either, because it's putting it's putting somewhat of a toll on me in terms of my energy and my willingness to climb the mountain, if you want to look at it that way.
So how can I get in touch with you, Louis?
Uh,
How can I get in touch with you?
510.
Put it in the chat, sweetheart. Put it in the chat for her.
Go ahead, Louis. I'll put it in the chat. You go ahead and, yeah.
Rev, would you put my address and my phone number?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, put it in the chat, honey.
Thank you.
Okay, so you rest now. She's gonna put it in the chat, and we're gonna do this thing.
Yeah. 510.
Yeah, I've got it. I can put it in the chat too if you need me to. He doesn't-
Okay,
he
all
doesn't
right.
have- He doesn't have
Put
to
it
say
in the
it.
chat, sweetheart. Put it in the
All
chat for them.
Okay,
Thanks, Peggy.
no problem. And I know Dodie had her hand up when Louise is ready to hand over the mic there.
Oh,
Thank you all.
And,
Well-
and then Harriet.
Reverend E, since there wasn't really any question, and you're talking about your education and your grandmother, you are so comfortable when you speak, and you're saying so solid in what you're saying, like there's no jitters or that you don't just get nervous. Does that mean you have set this up before you start to talk, or you just get into your own spirituality and just say?
No, when I first started to speak, I was very frightened of this whole thing of speaking. And so I closed my eyes because I don't want, like I recognize Louis because I've known him for years. So if it was 100 people and Louis was in the crowd, my mind would say, oh, that's Louis. He looks like he's been ill. So I didn't want to have those kind of interruptions. So I started preaching with my eyes closed. And when I closed my eyes, I found that I can go to another place. I don't see anybody, and my own sense of limitation is gone. So I always close my eyes because I don't want to feel like the little country girl who ran away from home at 15, who was raised in a place where women couldn't speak, and who, you know, I don't want to even remember her. I don't want to have those stories I've been telling myself for years. Somebody wrote a book that says, stop telling your story and start your life. So I don't want to tell that story. I just want to be a vessel for God to speak through. So I still close my eyes. So I didn't know anything. I didn't see anything. And I'm well with whatever I am now, whatever I am, because I'm just a vessel. And there's another hymn, and you know I got 1,000 of them, says, just as I am, without one plea, but that thy love was shed for me, and that thou bids me come to thee, O Lamb of God, I come. So that's it. Just whatever I am, I come to thee. Use me in thy service. And that's what I am. Tonight, Stacy wasn't feeling well, and the camera on my phone had fallen off, and she didn't feel like coming over here, so she sent her husband. We crawled up under the desk and fished out the camera, and he put it back up on the thing, and in that process, we messed up the sound and a whole bunch of stuff happened.
Yeah.
I can't tell you, I went and got a pillow and I crawled up under the desk to find the thing myself. All of that went into trying to get me ready for for Stacy, who would be doing all this, but she did not feel well. So it's a wonderful thing to be of service. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody said something about chopping wood and carrying water, whatever it is. And Brother Lawrence was a part of a system where the new monks had to work in the kitchen. And that was your first job when you got to the monastery. You had to go in the kitchen and wash all these big old soup pots and everything. And Brother Lawrence learned to meditate in the kitchen. And when it was his time to leave, he said, no, I don't want to leave, because I found holiness to the Lord among the pots and pans.
Thank you.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Reverend E. Harriet has her hand up.
Okay.
I just love Reverend E. I'm a Reverend E groupie. I've been attending East Bay, I think, since like 1995. And I've just grown so much from Reverend E's teachings. And she is indeed, so she's been a vessel for me and so many others. And she continues to be so. So even though I've heard some of her stories, when I hear them again, I'm at a different place. So I'm getting new enlightenment from them. So can love them, because I'm growing and learning and expanding with each word that you speak. And so you mentioned about the enslaver who wrote Amazing Grace. And my thoughts went to what an example of how people can be transformed when we see so many things that happen in the world that are so heartbreaking that people do. And yet here's the experience of an enslaver whose heart was changed on that stormy night, wrote Amazing Grace, changed his life to no longer continue to enslave people. So it's just a message of the kind of transformation that is possible when we trust that love is the answer and act with love. So that's what you do, Reverend E. You act with love, and you always remind us to pray for the person that's doing the harm and the person who has been harmed. And so I carry that with me no matter what's going on. And I thank you so much. I'm complete.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? I see Paul. You about ready, Paul?
I'm ready.
Okay.
So if no one else has a burning question, I'd like to move on with our program. I cannot possibly move on though without thanking all of you for being here. Harriet, it's so lovely to see you, really. Warms my heart that you're here with us. So can we all show our appreciation to Reverend E with clapping and the hand signals and all those things? Reverend E, you'll see everybody the emoji in a nice way, unlike the emojis I get from Dorothy.
Yay! Yay! Yay!
Thank you, Reverend E, so much. We're going to ask you to close us in prayer.
Yes.
In a few minutes, hold on, in a few minutes, we've got some announcements we'd like you to hear, some of which I talked about during our transition period. So when we're ready, here we go. What's coming up? This Sunday, March 20th, Reverend Catherine Sachs will be speaking about I'll Rest When I'm Dead. So join us in person. Yes, I said in person, with meditation at 10 and the service at 10:30. We are now streaming directly to YouTube, and the link is on the homepage if you can't join us in person. Next Wednesday, March 23rd, practitioner Judith Roberts will talk on So Happy Together. Meditation at 6:30 and service at 7. Wednesday services will remain on Zoom. Yes, you heard me right. We are reopening this Sunday. Alice, next slide, please.
Remind them, Paul, that they have to have their vaccinations and their ID and
Yes, Dorothy, as soon as the slide changes.
I didn't see the slide, sweetheart.
It's coming. Hold on.
Okay. Sorry.
Next slide when you can, Alice. There we go. We are reopening March 20th.
Yay!
It says proof of vaccination and the photo ID is required. So if you're joining us in person, you'll need to show your vaccination card and photo ID and wear a mask. And we will wear a mask.
You know what time it is? I guess the same time. Okay.
We will still see the twinkle in your eyes, even though we're wearing a mask. Next slide, please, Alice. Can you go to slideshow, Alice? And start with, it says slideshow up there. Sorry, guys, just a minute. Over to your right, where it says insert, draw, design, transitions, animations, and then slideshow. Do you see that?
No, we don't have any of that. It just says
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
open, 50% off.
Alice, underneath the orange bar, it starts with file, home, insert, draw, then design, transitions, animations, and then slideshow. If you click on slideshow.
There it is.
There, click on that and then say.
Yes, that's the one.
Perfect. Go ahead.
There we go.
Okay, so now we're going to have you go backwards. By clicking on the slide on the left, it should go backwards.
You can also use your arrow keys on your keyboard.
Because we're a slide ahead. So we got to go backward one. We're almost, okay. So
almost.
I'm going to proceed with the announcements. Alice will catch up with us. Okay, so. Stay right there, Alice. We'll stay right with that, okay? Just that way. If you would like the March issue of the Science of Mind magazine, you can purchase it in the bookstore this coming Sunday. The bookstore needs to let go of the old in order to bring in the new. If you purchase one item, you'll get 10% off. If you purchase 2 items, you'll get 20% off. 3 items, 30%, 4 items, 40. And if you get more than 5 items, you'll get 50% off of the sale. Get great deals and help the bookstore purchase new product. The bookstore also needs volunteers to staff the bookstores. Please talk to Linda Wyman while you're getting in on all of the great deals on Sunday. Are you ready for a deep dive into abundance? Ministerial students Teresa Gardner and Paul Ski are offering a 40-day spiritual practice beginning Sunday, March 20th. For more information and registration, check out the events page. This is a Zoom event. A love offering is gratefully accepted for this event. Join the Diversity Circle on Friday, March 25th at 7 p.m. for a juicy discussion on the topic, Dismantling Patriarchy in the World Religions. A panel of women from Buddhism, Christianity, Hinduism, and Sufism will speak on the effect of patriarchy on the development and practice of these world religions. This will be held online via Zoom, and your love offering is gratefully appreciation. The Vision Board Party is back. It's never too late to create a vision for your life. Join Deborah Jackson and 29 others on Saturday, April 2nd from 11:30 to 4:30. Attendance is limited, so sign up now. You can check it out on the events page. Everyone who signed up for the December party that was postponed is still signed up. The season for nonviolence ends on April 4th. Join with others in the social hall after Sunday service on April 3rd at 12:30 to discuss your experience. Coffee, tea, and snacks will be provided. As always, for more information on all that is going on at the Oakland Center, visit our website at oaklandcsl.org. Be sure to check out our events page. Especially check out our events page where it has the Prayers for Peace, a Zoom event that's held every day at 1 o'clock Pacific time. They are meeting for a little over 10 minutes daily to focus together on inner peace and send it out to the world. It is a powerful practice and it's making a difference. Some practitioners from Crimea will be joining us, as well as those inside and outside of Ukraine and Hungary, helping those who have fled. They are courageous women who are so grateful for our support. This wonderful event is led by Reverend Natalie Beth Linguri, the spiritual leader of the CSL of Geneva, Switzerland. We really can make a difference through the power of prayer. You can get there through our events page. And don't forget, you can follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and you'll also be liking and subscribing and doing all those things that give you advantage in the digital world. We're going to take a moment now. I'm going to ask you to leave your microphones off, and we're going to read the covenant, the New Minister Sacred Covenant. Take a breath with me.
Paul, can I ask a question first?
Yes.
Do we have Reverend E's book in our bookstore? Reverend E?
Reverend E, has Linda approached you yet about getting your book in the bookstore?
No, no.
We will talk that up on Sunday, Jody, won't we?
Absolutely.
We'll
I
come.
have Reverend E's book and it is fabulous. This is Dorothy.
Okay, thank you, Dorothy. My on-the-ground reporter, Dorothy. So Reverend E, would you be interested in having Linda put your book in our bookstore?
Yes, I would.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Okay, I will, Jody, let's work on that on Sunday, shall we, with Linda?
Okay.
Thank
Sounds
you.
good.
Remind me, please. It'll be a busy day, but remind me.
Okay.
So let's just take a moment. I make my funnel in the shape of our symbol, teaching symbol, and I breathe in from the top as we read. If you'll follow along, there is only one life. This life is good. This life is God. This life is my life now. In knowing that I am one with this light, that is God, I therefore know that I am one with all of its blessed expressions, which includes the presence of a new minister for my beloved spiritual community. Because I know that the highest power of my new minister is to reveal spirit, I therefore know that my new minister is a revelation of God's wisdom. I further know that my new minister is the fulfillment of that which has been promised by spirit. For it is written, I am filled with divine wisdom. I allow divine mind to fill my mind now. As I stand in agreement with my beloved community, I see my new minister revealed before me as unity in the community. I now intend to experience my new minister in full cooperation and agreement with my community, knowing this truth about myself. For I am inspiring unity and diversity, embracing and nourishing our community. I am awakening the wisdom within. I am healing and expanding our community with the power of love. I am engaging the community in building a world that works for everyone. I am deepening family consciousness. As I now accept the highest expression of a new minister into my life, I know that they were revealed in a way that illumines spirit and serves the highest and greatest good of all who are touched by their presence. I am grateful God is gracious, and so it is. Ashe. Oh, in this most important moment of gratitude, as we call in our new minister, I also want to thank all of you for participating tonight. And I want to thank everyone that participates in our offering. I passed the digital offering bowl to my happy little family on the screen from one square to the other. And as I do this, I recite our affirmation for the offering. I think it'll come up in just a second. As Rev Elouise says, there's not a spot where God is not. And she says, Paul, tell him to give, and to give deeply and bigly, because that's what keeps our center going. So I know that when you contribute to our center, it goes in those gates, and then it multiplies and benefits everyone outside of the gates that are behind me. So I'm going to read our affirmation that this gift I give is God in action. It does good work in the world and blesses creation. Yes. So there's several ways you can participate in giving. You can go to our website on the home page, and there's a donate button for credit card. You can mail it into the address that's listed there. You can text it to 510-327-3431. And you can also use Zelle for those that use Zelle. Or you can come to church on Sunday with your card, with your photo ID, with your mask, and with your donation, and bring it in and deposit it in the church. It's important that in this moment of gratitude, I thank some folks that do some very big work. First of all, as always, we thank Reverend E for being here tonight. I want to thank Reverend Jerry for being here with us as well, our current senior minister, in my opinion. Use my words if you wish. Thank you so much, Reverend Jerry, for gracing us as you do. We have a terrific team that works very, very hard to make me look good and sound good. And that's not easy. So I'm blessing them in advance and with great gratitude. Miss Peggy is our hostess, and her fabulous AV team behind the scenes, Alice and Helene and Trisha. We thank you so much for the work that you do. I can't say thank you enough to Constance Chapman, who helps put this event together, and my Zoe DeMuro down there always got my back, keeping me centered. Oh God, what would I do without this team? So please thank them and bless them. And now we're going to move into our closing prayer. And Reverend E, I'm going to turn it over to you and ask you if you'd close us out in prayer tonight from this service.
The Lord is my shepherd, and I shall not want. I shall not want for any good thing, because my shepherd lives in the valley, and I will meet him there. I give thanks for this night. I give thanks. I just give thanks. I give thanks that if I have eyes to see and ears to hear it, and a mouth to speak. I'm thankful that I have lived to see the sun go round the earth 91 times, that I am approaching being on earth 91 years. Mahalia Jackson said, I don't feel no ways tired. I can just keep on and keep on praising God. Another 91 years. Because all that I need is within me right now. I feel so good about tonight. I just feel good about everybody gathered here. And I speak my word for Louis, one of us. And I know that right where Louis is, God is. And God is a healing power. And we are rejoicing right now to know that soon and very soon, he'll be back on his feet and worshiping together with us again. Because I said so. And Isaiah 51 says, so shall my word be that goes out of my mouth. It must produce what I declare. And I declare that this day has been very good and is very good. And we live here rejoicing and singing because God is, and I am, and we are, and so it is.
And so it is.
Mm.